Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Look at Bekra here. Basically today guys, I just want to take you guys through with the FS Studios Mixer Masterclass, okay? So in this video guys, you'll be able to learn about the mixer channel routing, okay? You also get to learn about how to use insert effects effectively, alright? Also guys, you'll learn about applying and managing effects like EQ, reverb, compression, etc. guys. Also, you learn about the advanced routing with sends and buses. Maybe you've heard the concept of buses, sends, all of that. You also get to learn about that in this video, okay? The last but not the least, guys, you guys also get to learn about gain staging and volume leveling tips, okay? So with no further ado, guys, let's jump straight into it. Okay, guys, here we are in FS Studio today. I've got a project which I've worked on for a while now. I think I made this beat in 2023, and the beat is fully recorded, guys, okay? So with time, once I release the music, I'll come up and show you guys how I came about the beat making process, the vocal mixing tips and all of that, okay? But for now, let's just stick to what I'm going to show you guys here. We'll be using this track today for the purpose of this tutorial, okay? So let's have a quick listen at this beat. Okay, guys, that's that. You've seen the concept already, okay? So I just want to use this beat to show you guys about the channel routing, inside effects, managing effect like EQ, reverb, compression, and all of that. And also the volume and gain staging tips, okay? So first things first, guys, I will advise you once you have a project like this, that is, you have the stems. Each of these guys over here, the kick, the snare, that's a stem on its own, okay? That's what they refer to as stem in music production. That is the individual sounds on their own. This is the kick on its own, the snare on its own, shakers, the congas, and all of that, okay? So that's what it's referred to as stems, okay? All right. So first things first, guys, I already have these guys renamed. So I'll just go ahead to stay organized by coloring my tracks, okay? That's the first thing I'll have to do. Select everything, hold down select the first one, and just drag down till the last drum, which is conga 9. Come down here to this drop down. Color selected, gradient, okay? Then select the first one. I think we'll make it red. Last one too, make it red, okay? That's the way I like to color my drums, guys. The instruments, select them too, come down, color selected, gradient. My instrument, I like to make them blue, okay? Sorry guys, just give me a minute. My mouse is a bit kind of sluggish. I guess it's low. Let me just plug it down as soon as possible, okay? All right. Uh-huh. So the next guy, which is lock drum and bass, these guys I tend to color them green. Gradient. Okay. Is it green or lemon green? Anyway, guys. So we are done with that, guys. Okay. As you can see, the project is looking more sexy and all of that. It's good when you stay organized. First things first, I didn't mean these guys are not renamed. I'll first of all go ahead to rename them, then organize them in a way, sequentially, kind of, okay? I like to have the drums all together, the instruments all together, the basses, sound effects, and all of that. You understand? It's good to stay organized so the project won't get overwhelming and all of that. So we are done with that for now, guys. So the first thing you're supposed to do is gain staging, okay? Let's start with the gain staging and volume leveling tips before we hit the mixer uh, channel, okay? Or before we hit the mixer. I'll start with the drums. Let's start with the kick. Solo the kick. Look at the headroom here. Only the kick. It has almost gotten everything out. So, and we don't want that, okay? So bring down this guy to a much more considerate level where you're able to hear the kick and at the same time it has a good level headroom, okay? So I think here is okay. Let's go ahead and come up with this now. The conga. As you can see, guys, only the drums. We're having a nice headroom here, guys. So let's go into the instruments. The reason why I tend to start with the drums, guys, is because that sets the groove, okay? So you want the groove to first be there, then you come in with those instruments and start leveling it out, okay? So that's just it, guys. Okay, that's good, guys, and it's also good to be saving your projects alongside as you go. Okay, because there are times when you'll be working on a project and all of that, you know, and one thing or the other might happen. Your FM might decide to crash, your computer might decide to just go off. Okay, so it's good if you are saving your projects as you're going. As you can see, the headroom that we have, guys. With this headroom, guys, by the time we hit the mixer channel, okay, you will see how we'll get a more consistent level and everything will be well controlled and leveled. Okay, so by the time you add in effects and all of that, and when you reach the final stage, which is the mastering, where you get to make your tracks very loud and competitive and all of that, you have a nice clean mix. You understand? So it first starts with your gain staging. There are times when I'll see people making beats and all of that, and their headroom is almost clocked in and all of that. How do you expect to get a clean mix with that? It's not possible, okay? Yes. You can't fill up the room and be expecting to push it any much louder. No. Get it clean and everything first at the start. Then, when you hit the mastering stage, mastering is when you get track loud, okay? You can't just be expecting loudness out of production or mixing stage. No. It doesn't work that way, guys. Okay? So that's why I said stick to this channel, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, okay? Comment, like, share, all of those good stuffs, guys, because more is coming. You get to learn a lot on this channel, guys. Trust me. So with that being said, guys, let's select everything. I just double clicked. Now I want to hit the mixer channel, okay? Come down to this first channel one. Come down to insert channel routing. Route selected channel starting from this track. Okay. If you click on route selected channels to this track, it will route in everything onto this only single channel. Okay, and that's not what we want. That's why you starting from this track. Okay. Now we have everything that is on the channel. We have it all lined up in a linear fashion on the mixer, guys. You can see that, right? So on the on the master channel, okay, this guy over here, foot limiter, is of a good advice to replace it with a Softclipper. All right. Select everything. Come down onto this master again. This knob, stereo separation knob. When you turn this guy to the right, you are making it more stereo. When you turn it to the left, everything is collapsed to mono. Okay? That's why they say it's very good to mix in mono and all of that. You do that to check your levels. Okay? So you get a perfect level between your instruments and all of that, guys. So what I'll do now is drag everything down, bring them all down, guys. Now we are starting another gain staging again. You understand? Gain staging, actually, there are 3 stages to gain staging. There's the one that you do before you hit the mixer channel, and there's the one you do on the mixer channel, and also there's the one you do within the individual plugins which you're using again. So gain staging never stops, guys. You understand? All right, so let's start with the kick. You guys can see the level of headroom that we have right now, right? It's much more cleaner, guys. With this amount of headroom, by the time you apply your effects and all of that and reach the final stage of mastering, guys, you see how clean the mix will be. Okay? So it's a very good practice to always make sure that you have a good headroom while mixing. Okay? So guys, that is gain staging and volume leveling tips there. All right. So let's head on to the how to use insert tracks effectively. Okay. So these are the insert tracks. Each channel has 10 slots for effect. Okay. Yes. Each channel has 10 slots for effect, guys. And this is basically where you get to apply your plugins like EQ, reverbs, compression, all of that. Let's try parametric EQ2 on this kick. Okay. This is a click. Okay. Don't worry about EQ and all of that if you're not familiar with it for now, guys. Okay. I'll make in-depth tutorial about the EQ, compression, reverbs, and all of that. I'm just trying to show you how the effects processing goes. Okay. So don't worry about that for now, guys. So in case you don't understand what I'm doing. But basically, I'm just taking out the bad frequencies, okay? EQ is used as a frequency shaping tool. You use it to shape the tonality of a sound, okay? That is, you take away the bad frequencies and you are left with the good ones. And it's a very good practice to always take out the bad stuff first, okay? There are some people that tend to go into the frequency spectrum and all of that. This analyzer going on, this is the frequency spectrum, guys, from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, okay, to 20k, 20 kilohertz, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That's the frequency range that basically humans are able to hear sound, okay? So any sound that you hear, as long as you're human, it falls between this range, 20 to 20,000 hertz, okay? So this is the lows. As you can see, when I boosted this side, that thump, the punch, that heaviness, it was coming out of the kick, okay? But I first took out the bad sound, which I didn't like in this particular kick. And also the click, it was kind of much. So I had to also attenuate that, okay? So that's what I just basically did with this EQ. And this effect slot, okay? There's how you go about putting in effects on the slot, or in the slots rather. They operate in a linear fashion. Let's say I have an EQ here. This signal, the kick signal, will flow first from the channel rack onto this effect slot, then into the master. That's how the routing goes in FL Studio. The effects will first get applied from up to down, okay? In a linear fashion, that's how it goes. From up to down, maybe I have an EQ compressor, other stereo shaping or tonality shaping plugins and all of that, okay? So the kick signal will first pass through all of these effects, then it will go into the master. This cable you are seeing down, that's the routing that goes into the master. but it first goes into this guy right here. Let me adjust this guy so you see view on the left side. Okay, so that's how it goes. You first have this guy, and you're able to also make your these waveforms. You can decide to have it as waveform. Okay, view. You can cancel that and be seeing the levels if you want. All right, and you're also able to change how you are seeing these guys. So I do tend to like this wide. Okay, just find the one that works for you guys and work with that. Okay, so after the EQ, the next guy we're going to have is a compressor. Let's put in fruity compressor. This compressor in particular, guys, some people find it very hard to use. And I get it, even me too, when I started. It was very intimidating because I wasn't seeing all the... There are visual compressors. Compressors like, let's say, Pro C2, okay? This is a plugin from Far Filter. You can see, this is a visual compressor. You're able to see what's going on with the signal, okay? So even if you don't have this type of plugins, it doesn't matter, guys. You can still make use of what you have. And how you use this compressor is basically with the current track alongside, okay? You look at the signal. As the kick is selected, that's the signal you'll be seeing here. If you select the snare, that's the signal of the snare. The shakers, that's the signal of the shakers right there. So as for the kick, you can see what's going on. This is the level at which it's hitting. Almost 27. So we can set our threshold to like 30, 33, okay? So the threshold is the point at which the compression takes place. The ratio is by how much the compressor is reducing the signal. And the attack is the point at which the compressor kicks in and starts working. The release is how long the compressor takes to release the signal, okay? The gain, this is the makeup gain for you to recover what you've lost, okay? So don't worry about all of these, guys. I said I'll make an in-depth tutorial on each, the EQ, the compressor, reverbs, all of those plugins. I'll make tutorials on them, okay? So I don't want to make this tutorial basically about compression and all of that, because that's not why we're here today, okay? So I'd rather keep it simple and just show you the basics around. So with this type of setting, I'll just go ahead right now and boost the level back. So guys, that is compressor for you. And the compressor is basically used to shape the dynamic range of a sound, okay? Dynamic range, that's loud and soft, loud and quiet. Basically, dynamics means how loud or how quiet a sound is. That's dynamics, guys. And the compressor is used to reduce that range. The range between the loudest and the quietest, the compressor is used to bring that level much more closer by reducing the loudest and also boosting the quietest parts to come up and meet up with the loudest section, okay? That's what the compressor does. I know it's intimidating right now, guys, but don't worry, I'll make tutorials on that, okay? So in a linear fashion, as I said, the effect slots, they work in this way. The first effect, so the signal will come in from the channel rack, go into the EQ. into the compressor. Let's say we have another plugin here, the other one, all of that up onto the last one before it will come into the master. Okay, so that's how the effect slots work in FL Studio. And the same thing applies for all these other slots too, guys. You can go ahead and add in your effects. Basically, you want to do the shaping of a sound, which is basically the EQ. Then you head into the compression. Then you can decide to go into other things like saturation, other colorful plugins, and all of that. Okay, so that is that, guys. The next guy we're looking at is effects like EQ, reverb, compression. As for this kick, we are not going to apply anything like reverb, guys, because it's not advisable to have anything like a reverb on your low end. That will muddy up your low end, guys, okay, to make it very cloudy, because the reverb is basically a simulation of space. All right, and for reverbs particularly, it's much more advisable to have them on a synth track. Okay, so let's see, for this particular instrument, let's apply the EQ. Fruity reverb. Okay, let's solo the track. This decay, that's the tail. Okay, that's the tail of the sound. How long you want the tail to last. Okay, that's what the decay controls, the tail of the sound. The size, this is the size of the room and all of that. Okay, this is more like a hall. If you make it extra large, you have something like plates, room, all of those simulations. Reverb is basically simulation of space. Okay, so don't worry, I'll give you guys an in-depth tutorial on this reverb guy with how to calculate all of those stuffs. Okay, I'll show you guys how to go about all of that, guys. But as for now, let's keep it minimal. Okay, this is the pre-delay, the point at which it takes before the reverb kicks in. All right, so let's say we work with something like this. The pre-delay, let's make it something like 3 points. Low cuts, let's cut out everything. Let's say 200, 155, 200, yeah. High cuts, 5K. And this weight level controls the amount of the reverb that's been applied. Okay, this is the dry level. If I take out this guy, we'll only be left with the reverb. Okay, So, and it's basically advisable that you put your reverbs on a send track. Let's say this guy over here. We'll rename this guy reverb send. Okay. So we'll select this guy. Where's our reverb? And on a send track, you want to have the reverb, the dry level down, the wet level up to 100%. Okay, because that's the send track. Let's have this guy at 3.5 seconds. Let's max out the size. Okay, so something like this. Because why you want to have your reverb on a send track is because it will save up your processing power. By the time you go ahead adding reverb to individual tracks, you end up with a project which is highly loaded, and you see your CPU, this thing here, your CPU will be fried, and that's not what you want. Okay, so to keep it minimal, have a send track where you bust the reverb and send every track that you think needs reverb, you send it to that reverb. Okay, that way you have a nice, good, cohesive sound. All right, so that is that, guys. That is reverb. So now that we've set up the reverb on the send track, we can basically go ahead to route this guy. We are routing the guy over to this reverb. You can see once we disconnect it, the reverb is no more coming in here. That is what we call routing. Okay, and when you right click, you see route to this track only, sidechain to this track only. Okay, so what you want to focus on this guy is route to this track, and this is the send amount. This is where you get to control how much of the dry signal is going into this reverb. Okay, at 100%, you can see the signal is much more stronger. Now we have 100% of the dry signal going into 100% of the wet signal. Okay, so you want to balance this. Maybe let's say something like 30. Now we have a nice reverb on this particular sound. Okay, so that is that, guys, about the reverb. And this when you right click this, as I said earlier, you are prompted with these options here: route to this track, which we just did. Route to this track, it will route that particular sound to that track. Route to this track only. Now look at this guy. This guy is going into the master, but by the time I do that route to this track only, it's being disconnected from the master. It's no more going there. It's now going into the reverb only, and that's not what you want. Okay, except if you are bossing. Maybe you are sending this to an instrument bus and all of that. Okay, so that's not what you want, guys. Rather, you have it back going into the master, and at the same time going into the reverb route to this track, or you can simply just left click and it will be routed there, and you control the send amount. Okay, as for your master, this guy is at 100%. Even your bossing, when you are bossing to your drum balls, instrument balls, that should also be at 100%. Okay, so that is that, guys. Let's move on to the next guy, which is mixer channel routings. Okay, mixer channel routings. Finally, guys, now this is our track over here. As you can see, all these guys, they are all going onto the master. After the effect slots, they are all going into the master, which is this guy over here, where we have our Softclipper on. Okay, so there are times when you want to control all of these guys into a particular channel before that channel goes onto the master, where you apply more effects, more processing and all of that. So we'll create a drum bus right now. Drum bus, and we'll give it a red color too. Okay, hold down Alt and the left arrow key to move it, bring it up to the drum side. Okay, we'll also create another one, instrument bus. For our instrument bus, also color that the same thing with the instrument, bring it up to the side. We'll make another one for log drum bus, also get to color that lemon green. Okay, have it close to the log drums. Then we'll have another one for bass bus. Okay, we'll have that guy too close to the bass. So what we are basically doing right now, guys, is we want to take each of these individual sounds, route them onto a separate channel where we'll add in more processing to those particular group of sounds. That's what we call busing. That's why I say drum bus. I won't create a drum bus and send my piano or my saxophone or flute to drum bus. It doesn't work that way. That's why it's called drum bus. That means all my drums will be in this bus. Have it as like a bus. When we say school bus, what does a school bus mean? It means a bus that takes kids, high school kids, crèche, all this nursery school and all of that. That's a bus that carries those children, right? So the same thing applies over here too. Drum bus, that is a bus that carries all the drums onto the master. It might be from the drum bus, you want to route it to another thing again. You know, the more you get familiar with these things, the more you tend to create what works for you. Okay? So, but for now, basically, let's keep it simple. All the drums will route them onto a drum bus. Then the drum bus will be routed onto the master. Okay? So that is that, guys. What we do right now is select each and every of these drums, hold down Shift and Command, and you're able to select. You can also drag it out to the last drums, and you can see they are all routed to the master, right? So what you want to do is come down to this drum bus up here, right click, route to this track only. Okay, route to this track only. This sidechain to this track, don't worry about this guy for now, these two guys. We'll get into sidechain later on. What you should focus on is routing right now. Focus on routing. Sidechain is another concept entirely on its own, okay? So route to this track only. Now, as you can see, the kick is no more going into the master, it's going into the drum bus. The snare is going into the drum bus. Shakers, the same thing. Conga 3, conga 4, conga 6, conga 9. They are all going into the drum bus, and the drum bus is now going into the master, guys. So that is what busing is, okay? And if you press Alt and right click on this guy, you're able to solo only the drums. Now you can see. And if I mute it, no more sound. But these other guys, they are playing, but the sound is not coming. Why? Because they are all buzzed into this guy and the guy has been muted. So once I activate this guy back, you see, that is buzzing, guys. Our instruments now, you can see, they are all going into the master, right? So we can go ahead and select each and every one of them. Again, hold down Shift and Command, select everything, come down onto the instrument bus, route to this track only. Okay, now they are routed to this instrument bus, but you can't hear the sound. Why? Because the instrument bus is muted. So once we activate this guy back, you see, and they are all going into the instrument bus right now. and the instrument bus is going into the master, right? So that is how that works, guys. Our log drums, we can go ahead and route them to hold down Shift and Command or Shift and Control if you're on Windows, okay? So come down onto the log drum bus, right click, route to this track only, okay? Also for the bass, Shift and Command, come down to, the bass is a single channel, so no need for Shift and Command. You just select it, come down to this guy here, right click, route to this track only, and activate the drum bus. The drum bus is also routed to the master, guys. So that is the concept of busing, okay? This is our reverb send, and this guy is basically, the reverb send is a bus on its own, okay? You know, initially we send this guy to that reverb bus and all of that, but it's of much more preferable practice, okay, to route your instrument bus, which is this guy. You can route it to the reverb send, and now you're able to send all of your instruments onto the instrument, into the reverb rather. All of the instruments, they are now going into the reverb, and you can be able to control the send amount here. This is the send amount, and this is the return track, which is also the reverb bus, okay? This is the send amount. This is where you get to control how much is being sent, how much of the dry signal is being sent into the reverb, okay? You control that over here with this knob here, okay? So as you can see, I'm sending only instrument bus, and the instrument bus is what holds all of these guys over here, the instruments. So the drum bus, it's not advisable that you send your drum bus into a reverb, because the kick is also there, and we don't want reverb in our low end, right? So except in a process whereby maybe you go ahead and add in an EQ, okay, then you cut out the low end, maybe from 200 or so, something like this, right? If you try something like this, let's turn this guy into a high pass. Also this our guy, let's turn this into a low pass. So now you're able to control the amount of frequencies that are allowed on the reverb. Let's say we leave it at 200. This guy, let's say at 6K, okay? So now you can be able to route your drum bus into the reverb. All right, and you won't have the kick because we've cut out the low end, which is this space where the kick lives. But at the same time, you still have some frequencies coming in, and at times you might not want that. So if you know to stay on the safer side, it's better you just go ahead and route each of your individual sounds. Maybe your snare, you want the snare to have a little bit of reverb on it, then you can go ahead and route that onto the reverb, okay? Other drums, maybe your congas, your other percussions, you want them to have reverb, and you can do that, send them all to the reverb bus, okay? Control the amount which you send into that. So, but as for your instrument bus, you don't have anything to worry about there, because no instrument is of a low-end character, okay? Most of your instruments, this thing starts more at from 60, anything 60 upward. Those are instruments, the frequency range of instruments, from 60 hertz upwards, okay? So as for that, you control the amount here, as I said earlier on. Your log drums, I don't think if our log drum will need anything like reverb, guys. Also the bass. Some people suggest a little bit of bass, of reverb on the bass to create ambience, but I don't know, guys. You choose the way you like to work and work with it, okay? Maybe you can just have a touch of it, only a touch of it, okay? Yeah, that type of stuff, guys. So that is scent and bossing in its entirety, guys. So we've covered routing, how to use insert tracks effectively, applying and managing effects like EQ, reverbs, compression, advanced routing with scents and bosses, gain staging and volume leveling tips. Okay. So guys, I think I've been able to cover all of that in this tutorial, which from now going forward, it won't be intimidating. Because why I'm doing these things, guys, is because I just want you to have the basic concept of all these things. Because sooner or later, we'll get into much more production when we start making beats, all of that. I don't want people to be asking me, okay, how are we able to do that? How are we able to... That's why I'm taking my time to break all this into chunks. Okay? By the time you watch these guys all over, then you are following at the pace which I'm setting up. And by the time we start all those complex projects, it won't be intimidating because by that time, you don't expect me to start going and start explaining, okay, this is how you boss, this is how you send it. No, I'm not doing that. Okay? That's why I'm breaking it into chunks right now, putting out what I think you guys need to know. Then by that time, once we start getting into complex projects, guys, that's when you know that, yes, ideally, it would have been better to start watching from this pace and follow up. Okay? That's just it, guys. And I want to say this to you guys, okay? Make sure you take your time to actually get to learn these things. Just by watching a tutorial, that doesn't make you to like fully grasp the concept behind it, unless if you put it into practice. That's just how you get to learn, guys. Put it into practice. Anything you learn, be it tailoring, be it mechanic, be it anything, guys. Without practice, you don't get better. That's just it, guys. And I also want to tell you guys this, okay? Music production in particular, this is a craft that takes time to really understand. All these things I'm teaching you guys, it took me years to fully grasp these concepts. All of these concepts that I'm doing here, you understand? It didn't just come overnight and all of that. It took me years of practice, years of watching tutorials. I also went to college for this music production of 18. You understand? Yes. I went to college. I went to go and study audio technology. That is music production, sound engineering, which is also mixing and mastering, live sound, where you get to be on the mixer board, all of that. I went through all of that process, guys. Okay? Well, it actually depends on what you take music production as. For me, this is a long-term thing that I want to do, okay? So if you know you're very serious about music production, then you've really got to put in the work. You've really got to put in the work, okay? Yes, guys. So with that being said, guys, I think I'll catch you guys in the next one, okay? Stay tuned. And if you have any questions, any comments, any video ideas, make sure you drop them in the comment section, okay? And I'll be sure to check it out, guys. And also make sure you like, subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. You can share, that's also acknowledged, okay? With no further ado, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.